It's kicking off again. What's caused Grandmaster Wesley So, a top 10 player, to delete his Twitter account, as you can see on screen here, and then the US Chess Federation to write a letter to FIDE, the international governing body of chess, expressing concerns about the current qualification cycle for the candidates tournament. Well, let's start at the beginning here. I'm going to fill you in on the drama, then we're going to jump to a chess game which is absolutely fascinating, and then I'll offer a couple of my own thoughts. So, where's this all coming from? Let's jump to this tab. So, the Candidates Tournament 2024 is happening next year. As you can see here, it's an 8-player chess tournament and it determines the challenger for the 2024 World Chess Championship match. Who's the current challenger? World champion, sorry. It's this guy, Chinese player, Ding Liren, Mr. Recluse right now. The guy's a hermit. Some people think he's been abducted by the Chinese government. Just rumours though, not verified. He is back next year though, January, Tata Steel. Now, the guy's world champion as mentioned, but one of these 8 players here, just scrolling down, is going to challenge him for the crown. But which one will challenge him? That's the point of the candidates. Only one of these 8 players can win it. But hang on a second. There's 2 spots which are TBD, to be determined, and that's where all the drama comes in, because one spot is decided by the winner of the 2023 FIDE circuit and one spot by whoever's got the highest rating at the January 24 ratings list. Now let's jump over to here. So this is a pretty funny picture posted by the C Squared podcast guys, Christian and Fabiano Caruana. Now Fabi here, as you can see, the dude chilling, eating the kebab late night in the shop, he's already qualified like 5 different ways. So he's on his phone, catching up on Anish Giri's Twitter, no doubt. We're headed there in a minute. These 4 guys over here, they're battling it out. Now Anish Giri and Gukesh D, they are battling for that FIDE circuit spot. That's all based on points coming out of tournaments that have been in the calendar for a long while. But Alireza Firouzja and Wesley So, they are battling for the ratings spot per the January ratings list. And that's where the controversy comes in, because now I'm going to jump to this tab. Anish Giri tweeting 18th of December, will the real farmer please stand up? So farming as a term, for anyone not familiar, is where a strong player plays against weaker players, opponents in any sport really, and the whole point is that you steal their rating points to boost your own. You know you're going to beat them like 99 times out of 100, right? So you're just farming their ratings, churning it over. That's what's going on here. This is the controversy because Alireza has organised this tournament, with the help of some others in France and everything, which is where Alireza now resides. He's Iranian originally, young prodigy, only 20 years old, and he's playing against some older grandmasters who on paper he should beat. But that is where this video gets interesting, because now, switch to here, this is Anish Giri's page, and as you can see, he's posted about 29 minutes ago, it's 5 PM here in the UK. Young players don't know, but Fedorchuk, that's Sergei Fedorchuk, a strong Ukrainian grandmaster, I mean he's mid-2500s ELO, is a tough cookie. Why would you choose him when all you need is less than 1 ELO point? Because Alireza only need literally 1 point to leapfrog Wesley in the January ratings list, if things stay as they are, right? Unless Wesley goes and organises his own tournament in the US. Now Giri is tweeting this mid-game. Alireza is still playing against Fedorchuk, but this is the really interesting thing right now. It's like Fedorchuk didn't get the memo. Like, dude, you're not supposed to win this one. Alireza needs the points. But the game has exploded into a wild tactical affair. We're going to switch to that game now. It's an exciting one. And then come back to this letter from US Chess and I'll offer a couple of thoughts on my own. So here we go. Sergei Fedorchuk with white, the tough cookie. Alireza going for a Sicilian here in a must-win game. Well, kind of must-win, right? for the rating points. His opponent plays very obligingly with an open Sicilian, a nice sharp fight on the board, and after the pawn's defended, we see a Najdorf played. Sorry if you can hear my kids screaming. Now, what does white do? Well, pawn to h3. This is known as the Adams attack, named after Weaver Adams, an old American player, not Mickey Adams, who just won the London Chess Classic. Now we see e5, the most ambitious, aggressive move. The knight driven back. Hang on, aren't you blocking the bishop? Well, it's actually going to come this way, build a little home around the king, and that explains pawn h5 from Alireza. He keeps an eye on these kind of expansion ideas, and maybe he gives white a little tickle in the armpit in future, but not just yet. Bishop e7 first. Now bishop e3. Pawn b5. Alireza gets the b-pawn bad boy going, claiming some space. And now knight d5 immediately seizes some counterplay in the centre. And you can't take this pawn here. It's immune for a couple of reasons. One is bishop b6. Pick up a tempo on the queen, then go knight c7 check, supported by that bishop, rooks dropping, etc. Or there's bishop g2, and there's huge problems with this knight, but then also this diagonal. So, pawn untouchable, Alireza carries on developing. We get this knight swinging around to c3, no b4 possible, you know, this one covers the square. Always easy to miss a retreating knight move, they say. We get bishop b7, bishop g2. Always have a stare off with your opponent if you possibly can. You're on your way to Grandmaster. This rook hits the half open file, and now a4 from white. Very logical, nibbling away at these queenside pawns like Bugs Bunny. And Alireza, he's got to react. So he takes in the centre, knight recaptures, bishop captures. He gives up his wonderful bishop pair, which you often want to preserve. But after queen recaptures, he has alleviated the pressure here for a moment, and now he goes b4 to deal with that one once and for all. This on the left here is the evaluation bar, the computer evaluation of the position. Now the computer wanted to take on a4 there, but okay, different game. Now we see castles played. Bishop f1, the preference of the engine, but this much more natural. Now a5 on the board, supporting the b4 pawn, and c3 is a really interesting idea from the tough cookie. You get captures, pawn recaptures, and now what happens if you win this pawn here? It is a playable variation, but not so good. White gets lots of open lines, and without clicking for ages, there's no immediate kind of refutation of this move, but long term you can drop the bishop back. This one gets very weak, and if it ever drops, the a pawn starts running. So okay, Alireza doesn't touch it. He first goes h4, initiating his own play on the white king. And now different ways to go. You know, g4, and we've got a completely different game on our hands. You can take immediately, same thing. But c4 was selected, now saving that pawn once and for all. Alireza could take, and we get this thing, and the f-file opens, but it wasn't played. We just get castles, and now rook f to b1, slightly weird looking move, makes this one look a bit passive, but it is covering the pawn for the moment. And now bishop g5, very interesting attacking idea from Alireza. He loves to try and storm the gate around, excuse me, around his opponent's king. Sorry, I just had my dinner. So the bishop captures, the queen comes back, and now this pawn has been offered. So Alireza goes a pawn down, but here's his attacking idea. You can start with a rook coming to the centre here. Sorry, just laughing about how I choked up there. And that defends the knight. Or you can go knight c5, which was immediately played by Alireza. And now we see this pawn takes here from white. You know, there was a threat now to otherwise take here. Pawn recaptures, win a pawn. You couldn't do it before because the knight was hanging. But with this truly being a threat, white takes on h4. And now Alireza doesn't recapture. Then you leave the e-pawn and white can take here. So queen f4 played. coming onto those dark squares aggressively, but holding on to this one. However, white's 2 pawns up here. You've got to be careful. So rook b5 played, hits the knight, and Alireza gets aggressive here. You know, you can take here on e4, but then things start liquidating. Not what Alireza wants. So knight e6 played, kicks the queen first, then knight e6. And now this is looking for attacking ideas. The rook could come to d4, knight to d4, and it even sets a trap, because if you go c5 to preserve this pawn, well then there's rook c7 trapping the queen. You've got to be careful. So the pawn was ditched, the rook centralizes here, now rook e8 kicks this queen, and the best move was coming to d6, pressuring the e-pawn. f6, never a desirable pawn structure for black, but it wasn't played. Instead we get queen a3, transferring in this direction. Alireza now takes on c4, queen g3, rook c1 check, this one drops back to cover, and rook c2 from Alireza, keeping pieces on the board, keeping tension. We get rook a b1 played, looking to activate now. Rook e c8 hits that open file. Now we see a trade. Knight recaptures here. And now this moment of the game is kind of unbelievable, right? I mean, white's only got 5 minutes left, but still 5 minutes. This is a grandmaster player. The top move here by miles is bishop f1, because it responds to a simple threat. Knight e2 check, then the knight hops to c3, forking both of the rooks, right? I mean, this is simple stuff for a grandmaster, but it was missed. Rook b5 was played, and it allows check, king goes, and knight c3, forking the rooks. Black is completely lost. Now, I'm not saying this game has been deliberately thrown. I'm really not. But when you see stuff like this, it does make you go, what the hell is going on here? You know, this is a bit dodgy, isn't it? Jeez. Because after this, you get this one, this one, this one. The pawn drops, king g3, rook back, this one drops, check, and the game's resigned. Because if you step up the board, well then literally you're losing a piece. If you step down the board here, well we pin, and obviously that one's dropping next move. It's game over. So a little bit strange, just to give you a sense of it, if I flick to another tab, this is Alireza's score now in this mini tournament, right? He's 5 to the good, 1 to go tomorrow. Looking like he's going to win it again, right? And this is where people are just getting a bit annoyed, you know. This is a bit dodgy. The whole thing stinks a bit. And let's jump now to another tab. So we're back on Giri's Twitter here. So 53 minutes ago, he says pourquoi, you know, why in French. And that's a reference to some commentary done the other day where one of the commentators was just freaking saying pourquoi, when a guy resigned in a technically drawn position. But it looked lost, but it was technically drawn. Then you can see Giri's going, bishop f1 would have been a classic case of bishop totally dominating knight. Then we come up here. Okay, so what is the point for Alireza to play tomorrow's game and risk it all when he is already ahead? Like if you don't understand, comment if you do. Yeah, so Alireza now, he's ahead of Wesley on the live ratings. If I actually check live ratings here, does it show that already? No, I don't know if it does. I'm just refresh. Oh yeah, I've just refreshed the page. There we go. So Alireza's ahead now, as you can see, by 0.5. So all he's doing tomorrow now is risking it. So nothing to actually play for. And Giri's Giri's final post here, when 0.8 rule is back, people I would consider for future farming, Agidmator, Mr. Dodgy, streamers rated below 2200, Levy not, because we are both scared of each other. Also, I would ask them to raise the money and pay my expenses because they can farm me for content. Okay. And the final thing to say here, you know, Giri's sending it up, doesn't like it. And I tend to agree with this guy, Chris Bird, International Arbiter. That's what the IA stands for. So while I may agree with this sentiment, the sentiment being that this whole thing's a bit dodgy, this looks like a legitimate FIDE-rated event which just happens to include a very high-rated player. If this happened a few months ago, nobody would have batted an eyelid. You'd have to go back and undo rating any similar events. So he's responding to US chess. And what he's basically saying is, yes, I agree the whole thing stinks, but is it actually breaking any rules under the FIDE guidance? And this is where the FIDE guidance needs to be updated. So this kind of thing can't be done in future. You know, that's my opinion. Well, Chris Bird's saying, no, you're not actually breaking any rules. So even though the US Chess Federation's written this letter saying, you know, we don't like this, we're concerned about the conduct of the qualification, we urge FIDE not to rate the French event and take steps to require that all FIDE events be registered at least 30 days in advance of their start date. Even though they're saying that, and I think a lot of people agree the whole thing stinks, within the actual rules set out in advance of this qualification cycle, I don't believe Alireza is doing anything actually wrong by the rules. So if you can now sort of undo these rating points, I don't know if that's right or fair or not. Although there is a small clause apparently where FIDE does reserve the right at any moment in time to is it decide who qualifies or decide who doesn't get rated? I forget the details. So could be some drama to come here. Anyway, that's a wrap on this video. Apologies for a bit of a ramble there. Hopefully you got something out of this video. Do subscribe, smash like if you did, and check out the video on screen for another epic game of chess. Thanks very much for watching. See you soon.